All right. Well,
There we go.
here we go.
We're off and running.
Sean.
It's a good morning. It's a good start.
I was hoping for rain.
You're hoping for rain.
Yeah, I mean,
clouds are out there.
London is it's failing me.
It's only 20% today. So yesterday I didn't look, and I didn't bring a rain jacket. Today I brought a rain jacket, and it's not going to rain.
Yeah, but you know,
So
We're over the curse then. There we go. We got it.
smart
Can we keep
marketing.
it like that? Yeah.
Smart marketing yesterday. Like for the first time, there was a merch that we really wanted. Like on a
That's
booth,
right.
they gave us an umbrella. There's one
Yeah.
umbrella. Like, okay,
Well, there you
this
go.
is
Perfect
so
timing.
proper for London, right?
A friend of mine does the merchandise at festivals, music festivals. And he has one store for sunny weather and one store for bad weather. And they make the call on the day as to what, and it's amazing how much difference the sales is.
I bet,
sure.
yeah.
I'm
Those,
sure.
those hoodies and those rain jackets sell very well when it's peeing hard.
See, you gotta be smart and
Gotta
ready
be
for
smart.
the market. But talking about being smart and ready for the market, I mean, we got a smart person here, which is not me. It's not Sean.
not me,
It's
that's for
Rob
sure.
Black.
Hi guys,
So good to
to
see
see
you.
you. It's welcome
Oh,
back.
Yeah, so good to
It's
see
been
you.
another year. Can you
So
believe
good
it?
to see you.
I know. And last year we didn't get to talk. We just got to say
We
hi.
just waved, gave looks across the DLR. It was such an exciting moment, wasn't it?
Yeah, but at
And then
least,
didn't manage to connect up at the event.
But at
So
least
you
it-
guys are too busy. You didn't have room for me in your schedule. That's what it was.
oh, well, that's too bad. But we sure made time,
Absolutely.
and we made time to catch up in between,
We
which
did,
is
we did.
important. It's not just the event. So well,
We had some really good ideas and chats as well. So it's been
Yeah.
interesting reflecting on
Yeah.
how things have evolved over, well, or not evolved as well. So
yeah.
it's an interesting time, isn't it? So,
Yeah.
So
it
why
is
don't we
interesting.
start with a few words about who you are, what you
Okay.
do,
What-
and
what
what
you're
you're
up to now.
focusing on now?
I feel like I'm advertising myself in the latest app.
Go
Hi,
for
I'm
it.
Rob.
Go for it.
Hi, I'm Rob.
Yeah, so Rob Black. I've got various different hats at the moment, but I guess fortunately last year I was nominated and awarded to be UK Cyber Citizen of the Year, which was great.
Very cool.
I guess for me, great recognition of the work we've done beyond just the technical cyber. So I've spent a lot of time building communities and pushing agendas on particular topics. So I run the UK Cyber Leaders Challenge, which is something we talked about before, encouraging soft skills and leadership skills in individuals and kind of getting those students university students who might be thinking about a career in cyber or might have not even thought about a career in cyber to really kind of be inspired and given some great role models in cyber and to come in and practice effective communication skills, briefing skills, critical thinking, giving answers where they're not definite about what level of confidence they've got regarding an attack. So we get the students to play the roles of an advisor to the government during a time of an escalating crisis. And it's really good bringing those students in and getting them to think, I think, much more multidisciplinary about cyber, which I think is one of the big trends we're seeing at the moment. Which
Yeah,
is,
I think that's what we're going to
yeah.
talk about.
Yeah, and then I guess the last thing I'm doing is continuing on our conversations in the past. I was talking about the use of deception as proactive defence, and for me that's something that I really am pushing and trying to encourage around the community, particularly around our critical national infrastructure stakeholders, and really using the use of deception. So I've launched the Global Institute of Cyber Deception, so having lots of fun, keeping myself busy as well. So yeah.
Sounds like it for sure. I want to pick on one thing, just maybe to kick it off, because we were chatting with Madeline Vanderhoot yesterday from Forrester, and she was talking about the human element, of course, behavior-based things, and you're talking about soft skills.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know if most people, but certainly when I think of cybersecurity, I think engineering, I think coding, which is ones and zeros.
Absolutely.
Right? Very binary. In math, right? Math, you have an equation, you end up with the same result over and over. But as soon as you throw that human in there,
They're awkward buggers, aren't they?
it's not cut and dry.
Yeah.
It's not on or off, one or zero.
But
right?
I think you make a really good point, and I think what you're seeing is two different communities having to come together. And the engineer designing community, who've spent their time with code and stuff like that, they have spent most of their time developing products, developing systems and architectures that design out risk. So they cannot afford to have something that doesn't do what it says on the tin.
Right.
Yet I don't know many humans that do what they say on the tin all the time. And we're having individuals operate. And the technologies that the bad guys are using now, there's such challenge for us to, operate in a way that the engineers would expect humans to do. So I'm not a fan of the phrase humans are the weakest link. I think that's the failure of designing a system that appreciates we're actually operating in a social technical world and that we actually have to have that integrated approach. But I think what's also really interesting, if we think about that, is that one of, I think, the mistakes the industry, mistakes probably a strong word, one of the challenges I think the industry has is that if we recognise we have been focusing on tech only and the codes and that mindset, that actually there's more opportunities to think about how we defend by bringing in thinking about the human, and particularly thinking about the human aspects and decision-making aspects of our attackers, and that's something I think is really interesting. So.
And we were definitely going there, and I'm surprised it took us so long. But here's another human thing again.
Yeah.
But what you mentioned about Madeline and Jinan Banj, and when we were in Australia, the old Forrester researcher, they're going there. It's about behavior. We start with behavior changes, and then we use the tech that we have eventually to help with those behaviors.
With the wrapper around it.
And that's, I think that he kind of summed it up like ITSPmagazine, which is he's thinking 1 and 0. I come from sociology and political science, where I've learned that we don't do a science that is 0 and 1, because you can't. You can do a research and then it's.
I think social science is different to the hard sciences.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
the value of social science is showing rigor and systematic thinking based on evidence.
Right.
When there's not necessarily the consistency and the kind of what's the word? I don't know. The rigidness of the hard science. And actually, there's so much value of social science, because the other alternative is just to go with anecdotal thinking, anecdotal opinion. Opinions get us nowhere as well when you're trying to.
It becomes trial and error then as well.
Exactly. So,
and it is more trying to understand why people did this and what can we do to influence that versus, this is the solution and this is done. And I think this could be exactly what we should be talking about, because you have some ideas.
I do,
and I love them.
And I think what's really interesting is that, if anything, one of the themes for the conference this year is about bringing the geopolitics into cyber, and we've seen how important that is with recent developments this year. Paul Chichester was on the keynote stage from the NCSC, Director of Ops of the NCSC yesterday. He said, states don't hack for fun, they hack for an objective, and they hack for a reason. So what is that reason? And as a CISO, or when you're communicating to the board and you're talking about the threats that you're facing, if you are not bringing that thinking in, then you're missing an opportunity to capture the risk language that your board need. But I also think beyond that, if we come back to that, you said decision making, because I've got my technology, see I'm not very good with tech at the best of times. There we go. And as we talk about this challenge of humans, if we take threat as the definition of capability by intent over opportunity, I think that sums up the cybersecurity space or cyberspace very well. So I would argue the majority of cybersecurity measures are focusing on reducing the vulnerabilities in our systems, designing a secure system. That to me is attacking the opportunity aspect of the threat dimension.
Right.
So we design out those vulnerabilities, reduce the opportunities for the attackers, a secure system. But we have a human threat actor who's making decisions, still going after us, and it has capability and intent, both technical capability and intent, mindset, and so on. When we talk about our threat actors, we can talk about the MITRE attack framework, we can talk about indicators of compromise, we can talk about TTPs, you name the phrase we want to use. We're talking about them in technical capability terms. We so very rarely talk about their intent, their decision making, and what they're doing it for, why they're doing it for, and what that might mean as they're approaching our networks or as they're inside our networks. And that's where I think deception really comes in as a proactive measure for cyber defense. And I think we can have a lot of fun designing secure systems and defensive measures, not just secure systems, that engage with that side of the attacker and don't just focus on the ones and zeros of the kit. And that opens up a whole wealth of activity and work and research that we should and can be doing. I think that's probably an area that I think the industry really needs to kind of take a more professional approach to, because I think we too easily fall back to threat actors being caricatures of nation state, national bears or national animals or national birds, whatever it might be. And it might be great for the marketing teams, and you can put it on a t-shirt. But this is a professional game. Look how much money is being spent on cybersecurity. Look how much money a company, organisation is losing per day when it gets wiped out by cyber. I don't feel that's something that should go on a hoodie. We should be taking this more seriously, to be honest.
And if you don't think about the intent, you're just trying to use the same tool to catch them all. But you're actually using the wrong tool, probably.
Well, I think if we use warfare analogy, and this isn't about creating fear, and if we use the warfare analogy, guns do something in war. They also do something in crime groups and so on. So you can use the same tools in a variety of different ways. It's quite a blunt instrument.
Use it
Now we
differently.
need to start thinking about what we need to use our tools for against the attackers we're engaging with, and how do we want to shape them. So I think there's some really, really simple and clever techniques that don't even need to use many technical tools, that really shape the attacker's understanding of what's going on, or their expectation of what's going on, even before they come into our network. So, imagine if you put a notice up saying, as an organisation, we are researching and exploring, or put an invitation to tender out for using deception technologies. At that point, the attackers, who might be doing that open source research on you, know that you're probably using deception technologies in defence of your network. Now, you don't necessarily want to say, I'm using companies A deception technology in such and such a way. You might not want to share that. But now the attacker, when they approach your network, if they've done their research right, has come across this and is now going, they've probably got deception.
Right.
And at that point, that's influencing their decision making. When they come across an open port, are they going to go, that's an open port, that's something I can explore, let me find my way in, because they're crap at designing the network? Or are they going to go, I know what these guys are up to, this is the deceptive bit, this is the plant, this is the honeypot.
This looks too good.
Yeah, exactly, too good to be true, I won't in it. The NSA have done some great research on this and made it publicly available. They've had 2 pen testing teams up against the same target. The only difference between the 2 teams was they told one of the teams, by the way, we're using deception. That team moved through the network more slowly, questioned everything. When they came across a vulnerability, they thought it was a plant. So they're like, oh, come on, guys, we're not that stupid. And it was great to see the difference in progress.
Yeah.
What was the technical capability there? We're using deception.
Right.
Let's get a little bit more innovative. Let's get a bit more clever. We can use,
It's
computer games.
psychology,
Absolutely,
right?
it's
You know what it makes me think? The Princess Bride movie.
Right.
When
Yeah, swapping
you
it,
it's swapping. Oh, I was left, but you thought I was left. But that's right. It's like double deceptions.
I think there's some really simple ways we can do this, and
We're human.
Well, and they're human too. That's it.
Exactly.
Right.
So we talk about indicators of compromise. We know quite quickly from an attack, based on indicators of compromise, who the attackers likely could be. It could be APT 67 or APT 99. So why can't we design our networks to look like they've already been compromised by the biggest, baddest, scariest APT there is? So that if some other APT lands on a network, they go, oh, we might not be a bit scared by the FBI, we might not be a bit scared by the law enforcement around the world, but we're scared by this organised crime group because they're going to come after
we don't
us.
want to.
Yeah, I mean, that's traditional kind of gangland policing techniques to kind of create that distrust between groups and so on. We could bring that in. We could look for through novel domains and bring novel techniques into cybersecurity if we think beyond the ones and zeros of just defending against the technology.
Right.
I love that.
Well, it's interesting. What's going through my mind is the culture of the groups and organizations that use these tools, these weapons, if you will, and the cultures that they interact with.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of the guns again. Like they're different groups around the world have different cultures which accept or use them to do their intent, right?
And you
they have an intent
yeah.
to use the gun to.
And you wouldn't think anything was wrong with including that thinking in your strategies within those groups. But when it comes to bad guys in cyber, we see them as faceless, hoodie-wearing hackers, or dressed up koalas, or no, that's Australia. They're good guys. Sorry, evil bears, or pandas, or whatever it might be. And we take away.
That's a new threat group.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't want the Aussie government coming after me now. They are not a threat group. Got my wrong national animal there. But you can see what I'm saying is like we're cartoonising the threat actor.
Yeah.
We're not thinking, okay, what are the strategies we need to bring in? How can we approach this? We're seeing, organised crime groups, offering attack capabilities as a service, setting up, customer service relationships with the clients.
Yeah.
Can we not disrupt that? We all know what it's like when we're stuck on a phone waiting for the client or waiting for the customer service desk to respond. Can we not, could we not DDoS or disrupt that's a bit too offensive, but could we not clog up their customer service with additional requests so that their clients can't get the support they need?
Right.
Let's be a little bit more innovative.
So
within the realms of ethical considerations and legality, I think there's a conversation here to be had about how can we disrupt their thinking, how do we disrupt their decision-making processes.
So I know that we're going to have so many more conversations because we have so much to talk about, and not just while we're here,
sure.
but we're going to carry it on virtually.
The AI
and-
sexbots yet. I mean,
yeah,
come
oh,
on.
that one is going to come on redefining society and technology for sure. But there was something that you mentioned a few times on like how do we need to promote this industry in a much more creative way. I think you were kind of going there, and I'm kind of picturing myself into this. You mentioned the gaming industry, the movie industry, and yesterday we talked about the tipping point. What can be something that make a difference, a dent into this need of resources, human resources that we need.
Well, I might say something a little bit controversial here, but why not? That's what we're here for.
Yeah,
isn't it? I mean, I think the cybersecurity industry is in danger of becoming a bit like the big pharma industry. We are searching for, or we are creating tools that we wish to sell. And, you know, the products community, the vendor community are pushing this hard, helping people with the problems that they've identified that they want to fix with their tools. But actually, are we looking at systemic ways of reducing the risk? Are we looking at that? Often that's quite a boring activity, governance and risk compliance processes and so on. But actually, you know, I don't think in this fight against cybersecurity we can say we're winning collectively at a nation-state level, at an international level, at an organisation level. I think some organisations are very well defended, well secure and well designed for resilience. But it also still feels like it's a matter of time. It's whack-a-mole from the bad guy side. So, you know, we're seeing tier one threats to national security coming from cyberspace. We're seeing cyber on the international agenda. We're seeing cyber in the boardroom agenda. So it doesn't feel like we're winning. We're spending a lot of money. And I think we've got to make sure the industry doesn't fall down the pitfalls of big pharma, where we're just designing the next pill rather than actually looking at what are the symptoms, moving away from what are the symptoms and trying to address the systemic problems.
Right, which is a bad way of thinking of it, but it's unfortunately I believe it's true.
Yeah, I think some
I
of the
mean,
interesting.
when the money and what's your next quarter looking like? You know, you dehumanize.
Yeah, again, it's the same issue again, isn't it? Dehumanizing the customer problem, just to focus on the. Now, that's,
think
that's
about
a grand
health.
stereotype.
Think about health, though. It's not just pharma,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Pharma's the well, maybe there's some preventative, but it's usually something bad is happening.
yeah.
We're going to help clean that up or treat the symptoms. But
we-
there's healthy eating, there's exercise, there's being around people that you're comfortable with and having conversations. There's all the other
The
human
prevention.
that
And
the
physical
company
health
is an entity.
combined with the mental health. It's the same issues in
Exactly.
cyber as we talk about. And we use the analogy of viruses, infections.
Right.
We use the language of health. So if we do use the language of health, let's think about those other
Exactly.
dimensions of health that we can bring in. What's the one health equivalent in cybersecurity? How do we bring body and mind into alignment in cybersecurity? I think again, let's just tease out that analogy and take it a little bit further. I think the challenge is that it doesn't necessarily sit with where the money is, with the startup, fail fast culture, tech culture, develop next product. That's where I think we're close to, or potentially dangerously close to falling into that trap, because individually the tech world is driving their development for the right reasons, but we're not taking a more holistic approach, and states are struggling with that because who's responsible for cyber, how does it sit across international organisations, all of those geopolitical questions come in and hinder it again.
What's interesting, Marco loves it when I do this, but I don't know, it's important. I think 20 years ago, 25 years ago, partnered with IBM to build what was called the digital immune system, which was an AI-enabled thing that looked at the health of the internet down to a particular organization. So 20 plus years ago, AI technology being used. So it was being looked at then.
Yeah.
I think it fell apart. But I guess my point is, maybe we're in a better place now with new AI and maybe more open data sets where we can actually get a view of the state of the health of
But I think
the bigger ecosystem.
Looking at how AI is disrupting the health industry now, you having data-driven medical support rather than we think this drug will work for you. Now we're looking at your data. Your watch is giving you everything. Your sleep ring is telling you how many hours. So you are getting a holistic data set that you can now interrogate and get the right solution for you.
Right.
Again, we could be applying that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But, and I'm going to close with this, I want to bring it back to the human, because once again, the bottom line here is that if we can create a behavior, and I'm going to go back to modeling, and then we can use these tools, in a better way.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm
But only,
thinking?
only
Like,
the ones you need.
it just needs to get ingrained the fact that we live with technology,
Yeah.
and with technology, we gotta live with cybersecurity. If we live with cars and there are traffic lights, and you know that it become natural that you, unless you want to risk, you look at the red light, the green light, you look left, you look right,
Yeah.
and then you cross the street.
Watch
You
for
don't
people,
even your behavior.
It becomes ingrained. It becomes unconscious.
And
yeah.
we don't have that in cybersecurity because it's still here. Like that's mystery.
It's magic,
I-
magical mystery tour.
magic shaman
Well,
thing.
so perhaps I can personalise a bit, and apologies if this sounds like I'm talking about me. I was very fortunate to win the award last year, but I felt like a fraud in the industry, and I feel like I've done a good decade, 15 years plus in cyber. Every line manager I've had has said I've done really well, but I felt like a fraud because I don't necessarily come from that technical first mindset. I've spent time working in the military, bringing human sciences into the UK operations. I've thought about soft skills and leadership skills and how we can empower those skills in people rather than just the deep technical skills. So I feel like I've been pushing against the trend. And it
That's
does
why you won the award?
Well, I think that's but I think that's perhaps reinforcement that there's value there. And for me, that gave me a little bit, not a little bit, a lot of, you know what, actually, I'm doing something right here. And I might not have all the answers, but we are opening up the field and making it a more diverse approach. We're dealing with complex threats. We're dealing with a complex world of digital, humans, and so on. The simple stuff has already been done. I'm sorry, engineers and techies. I'm not saying you're doing simple work. You're doing complicated work. But the world we operate in is complex. And we need to bring different mindsets, different approaches to address this, to give us that advantage. And that is bringing both together, in my mind.
Couldn't
Perfect.
say that better myself.
I could.
You could.
I'm
In
joking.
binary code.
If I could, I would have won the award myself. And clearly, I've won no awards.
But I think that for me is that just that
No,
opening up to the community and doing that. So
Yeah.
No, it's beautiful. Yeah, very good.
Well, thank you so
Gents,
much.
it's been a pleasure. We'll catch up again.
Always.
Oh, absolutely. We're
Yeah.
going to do so much more
We
together.
have lots to talk about.
Yeah.
Next time we need to have a beer. I need to change this to a beer. Or
I know,
something,
that's
you know.
vodka.
Oh, is it? Oh, is it?
You're drinking it like water.
God, I haven't
Quite-
even noticed.
It's quite impressive.
It's only 10 o'clock in the morning as well. It's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like holidays and
That's
you
where
go
all
to
the
the
good
airport, you
ideas
can have a
come
beer.
from.
Conferences and you can have a drink before anyone tells as well.
It's a long day. We have a lot coming up.
Yeah.
So I want
You've got
you
some
guys
great
to
speakers as
stay
do.
tuned, and we'll be back with so much more. In the
Exactly.
meantime, ITSPmagazine.com/
Infosec 25. There you go.
You love to say that.
I do love to say.
All right. Stay tuned. Rob, thank you so much.
Real pleasure, gents.
So good to see you.
Catch up with you soon.
Really good one.